mTw's turn to ban.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another matchup from the defense number 3. I'm B-Bone, the one, the only. You know me? Hopefully you love me. If you don't love me, then whatever. I still love you. Anyway, matchup between mTw and Dignitas, or Dignitas, as I called in the last cast. Actually, the pronunciation does vary as the bands and picks are just flying through. Holy smokes, Batrider immediately first picked up Dignitas. Gonna pick up their Bros for Life, Bounty Hunter, and Nyx Assassin. So, wow, I was gonna go into my usual ramble about all things b-ball and all things Defense 3. Catch on Join Dota, youtube.com/joindota if you want another version of Zvods or Toby, blah blah blah, good job. Etc, etc. I mean, you know the spiel. You have other options if you want a different cast of this game. But if you want to stay and watch me, then I'll be more than happy to have your attention as mTw. Gonna have to be a bit concerned because the thing about Bounty Hunter and Nyx is that if they get their gank party going, then it's just gonna be so difficult to deal with because you're gonna constantly have to spend money for sentries. Your supports are gonna be so squishy, so frail because they're constantly buying sentries. But mTw are gonna pick up the Shadow Demon.
mTw's turn to pick.
Meanwhile, I hope they pick up a tanky support, maybe something like Jakiro, so at least can slow down the assault. But also, if they can hold out, if they can play 5-man Dota or 4-man Dota while their carry farms up, and the Invisi heroes really just get counter-ganked, then the Bounty Hunter really won't be able to do too much as mTw chooses a Night Stalker. So it might just be gank versus gank. It should be very exciting Dota as it's most likely going to be Synderen on that Night Stalker. Night Stalker is his favorite hero. Not too sure if we'll see the Yule's Night Stalker, but we'll see a Synderen Night Stalker for sure, most likely. And this indicates that Batrider are most likely going to go into the jungle position. Meanwhile, Dignitas have their offlane in the form of Bounty Hunter, have their support in NA, so they have a lot of versatile picks, so mTw can't really just choose heroes to ban out. We'll just have to ban out heroes that Dignitas will like, and will pick up that they feel like they don't really like playing against. Because you can't really ban out when Dignitas still have their mid-solo, still have their secondary support, still have their carry. Just too many positions to ban out. But mTw, their lane's a little bit more defined. Night Stalker probably going to be mid-solo, Shadowin probably going to be supporting the Tri, and Batrider probably going to be in the jungle. Unless the mTw could run potential dual lanes with Shadowin and Night Stalker dual mid, Batrider jungle, solo top, and a solo off lane. But Dignitas is going to secure the secondary support in the form of Keeper of the Light. Again, most annoying hero in Dota. A billion range, can refuel the mana constantly. NA does have severe mana problems. But again, I feel like if mTw can get the counter ganks going, then Bounty Hunter's effectiveness will get reduced greatly. But on the other side of the coin, Bounty Hunter should have a relatively okay time unless mTw gets a hardcore stunner to lock Bounty Hunter in place in the offlane, because he's not going to face on a full tri-lane. Batrider will most likely be in the jungle. And Shadow Demon is a very, very strong support and a very, very strong ganking support, but really can't do it by himself unless his carry is there to back him up. So Dignitas going to start banning out some hard carries that mTw might choose. Meanwhile, mTw going to ban out hard carries that AUI likes to choose as well. I think AUI's favorite carry at this point is Phantom Lancer. Phantom Lancer is something else. So ridiculous. Farms lanes, farms the jungle, farms it all. But yeah, just a little bit of background information on this matchup. mTw struggling a bit. Again, this lineup a bit more stable, but really having trouble putting out similar results as their last lineup, but hopefully they can get it together. Hopefully they'll remain stable. Hopefully they'll remain a lineup, and they can start improving over time. But right now, mTw are 2-1 in this group, which is fairly stacked. This group has Dignitas, Empire, 4FC, who is surprisingly in second place. Dignitas are in first place with a 5-0 record. 4FC are second place with 5-1, Empire 4-1, and right now mTw is 2-1. So if mTw want to try to make it into the winners bracket, they are going to have to take down Dignitas and whoever else they get matched up against. Otherwise, they will be sent right to the losers bracket. Meanwhile, Dignitas is going to bat the Lifestealer. Lifestealer, pretty good carry against Nyx and Bounty Hunter, even though, I mean, if you If they just jump on you and get the timing down, then Nyx will just get chain, or Nyx will just get chain stunned by Nyx and Bounty Hunter altogether. mTw gonna ban out a mid-solo hero in the form of TA, also a pretty annoying hero for Night Stalker to deal with, but Dignitas still have access into a lot of potential mid-lane heroes, whether it be Invoker, whether it be a dual lane mid, whoever they decide to choose, whether it be Queen of Pain. Meanwhile, Dignitas gonna last ban Lone Druid, mTw gonna immediately choose the Tiny. So I think Bounty Hunter should have relatively easy time in the offlane, but Tiny just scales out of control. Very, very hard to deal with in the late stages of the game if you don't have a carry that can match up decently well against Tiny. And can survive a lot of the ganks. Unfortunately, the zero armor will hurt him against Bounty Hunter and Nyx, but with that high base HP pool, it will be hard to kill Tiny if he has some support to back him up. Meanwhile, Dignitas taking a while. They do have the last pick, so they could throw mTw for a bit of a loop if they try to choose maybe like a surprise carry for AUI that they've secretly been practicing, maybe a surprise support. Who knows? This is Dota, and this version of Dota, they do have the top tier heroes, but we are seeing a lot of variety right now. But mTw, they have their carry, they have their jungle, so all they need is an offlane. So who's still left in the offlane hero pool? Beastmaster, Windrunner, and that's pretty much it, unless they want to run an aggressive trial lane, which I don't think Tiny does really the best because his mana pool is so limited in the early stages of the game, and you really want to have both of those nukes up, so he's probably going to farm in the safe lane. But I feel like this game is going to be very crazy because the ganks by both parties is going to be immense once the heroes hit level 6 and once Night Stalker starts his roam. As Dignitas is going to pick up the Morphling. Morphling regarded it as so severely nerfed that he's pretty much unplayable when he can pick up other different carries, but Dignitas did pick him in the last game, I think up against, who did they play? Next KZ, and I think they won with AUI's Morphling. But yeah, I don't know if Morphling is necessarily the best choice because Lasso, Silence, there are a lot of mechanisms in place to really hurt the Morphling, but Dignitas clearly have a plan to employ AUI's Morphling and try to get the ganks rolling, or try to get his farm going, because Morphling, one of those carries, I mean, I don't know if any carry can really match up against Tiny unless it's Void in the late game, but Morphling, one of those carries that does give Tiny a little bit of trouble, because Morphling will be able to survive better even if he can't really kill the Tiny than most other carries. Meanwhile, how will Dignitas, or how will mTw approach this pick? They really need their offlane hero unless they do Barret or offlane, which will just get pretty much obliterated by NA, Keeper of the Light, and Morphling. They're going to pick up their Jakiro, so they have their trialing right now, and we are going to see a Barret or offlane most likely, unless they do, probably going to do dual lane Shadow Demon, Night Stalker mid, Jakiro, Tiny, or Jakiro, Tiny, Shadow Demon, Tiny, or Jakiro, Night Stalker mid, and Barret or jungle, and might just give up the offlane altogether, saying we are not afraid of a Morphling who free farms. We are just going to give up the offlane altogether and just try to win our other lanes.
10 seconds remaining.
But really, mTw might be a little bit limited on how they can lane this in order to maximize their heroes. Because Barret, especially in the dire side, not really as easy to offlane. On the radiant side, he can run over cliffs, he can have easier access to neutrals. On the dire side, it's a lot more difficult. As Dignitas is going to pick up the mid solo in the form of Brewmaster, going to give some mid-game team fight. And overall, Brewmaster, pretty solid counter to Tiny. That Drunken Haze mischance, really, really good against Tiny in the late game. And going to give Dignitas a lot of options in team fights. So, we'll introduce the players and the teams. We're going to have Tides of Time playing the Keeper of the Light. Fogged is going to be playing the Brewmaster, as the universe is going to be playing the Nyx Assassin universe, adapting to Dignitas very, very well thus far. Way 2 is going to be playing that Bounty Hunter, and AUI 2000. 2000, of course, being the coolest tier. Going to be playing that Morphling meal on the side of mTw. We're going to have Synderen playing his trademark Night Stalker. I don't think he'll go Yules in this game, but hey, anything's an option. Dutch Freak going to be playing the Jakiro. Warlock is going to be playing the Barotter. Tulex is going to be playing the Farming Tiny, and Matrim is playing the Shadow Demon. Shouts to Matrim because everybody shouts to Matrim, whether it be in Mad, whether it be in interviews, because Matrim apparently is just such a lovable guy. As a pause is going to go out, Bounty Hunter doing a very, very sneaky Observer Ward to try to block off the pull. And if mTw decide to ban out the ban the off lane altogether, then it'll be a lot more difficult for Bounty Hunter to stay in range, because he will be under a lot of pressure. And let's see Batrider's items. Has a Stout Shield, no boots, so I think it will be a jungle Batrider. If it's an off-lane Batrider, usually we'll see boots first to try to escape and really try to abuse the cliffs, but I think it will be a jungle Batrider because he has Stout Shield to reduce a bit of the damage. And I don't think mTw are going to run an aggressive tri-lane. Again, Tiny, really not the best tri-lane carry because of his limited mana pool. But does have a lot of stats on him, so he does have access into 2 avalanches, but still. As mTw gonna immediately go invisible, but no Sentry Ward's gonna be dropped right now unless they can get a for sure kill, as Dutch Freak is very, very standing very, very close to the Bounty Hunter, but still they do not know. Batrider did end up spying the Bounty Hunter, but Bounty Hunter does have the capability to go back invisible. Will they actually place down a Sentry Ward? Invisibility rune gonna be picked up by mTw, but the Radiant Ward did spot out the movement, and Bounty Hunter in a bit of an awkward position. Windwalk is going to cool down relatively soon, but he's able to walk right through each other, and mTw is going to escape successfully. And yeah, it is going to be a totally been off lane. So it's going to be a tri-lane with one hero in the jungle, and Night Stalker Soulmate. I thought they might have been able to pressure Fogged a little bit more, but it's so hard to kill Brewmaster. And again, Night Stalker, one of those heroes who really needs as much experience as possible, because after the second night he really just falls off the face of the earth if he does not have a good first night or a good second night. And even then, he still falls off relatively, because all his damage comes in the form of nukes, so you don't really build him as a semi-carry, which I think could be an option. But he's just so good at ganking that you really try to build him up to gank up as much as possible. But Fogged, again, better base damage, better attack animation. Well, not really better base damage, but able to abuse Synderen a bit more because of that better attack animation, getting a lot of denies, 2 and 4 at the moment. And you can see mTw invisible running out, used one of the sentries to de-ward that ward, and mTw trying to get as much experience as possible, gonna try to stay in the side shop in order to really maximize experience. And that's gonna mean a free farming Morphling and a free farming Tiny respectively. And I'm sure if you watched the Orange vs. eHome game, you saw Mushi Morphling versus Lance Tiny. And Tiny did end up coming out on top, but this is another matter entirely, as I think that only happens in the Ultra late game, where Tiny's pretty much maxed out. Otherwise, I do think Morphling has the advantage, especially since I do think this Dignitas supports scale pretty well. Actually, everybody scales pretty well, aside from Jakiro and perhaps the Shoudian, as Synderen's going to have the bottle up, but mTw, or Fogged with a better mid lane presence with those denies, able to beat out Synderen in the experience advantage. And the question is, who can Synderen gank? There is a Trellin on bottom who's not really getting too many levels, but AUI is going to have absolute free farm. Will he go Linken's? Will he go for something a bit more aggressive? Linken's will do pretty good work against Disruption Lasso and the Silence in the Void by the Night Stalker. So I think Linken's probably going to be the best choice just because Morph mana cost is so big. But Fogged doing a beautiful job controlling the creep wave, as mTw is going to run around to the bottom lane, and Batrider going to try to spot the movement of mTw. Bounty Hunter is level 1, but almost at level 2. Again, your goal in the off lane is to survive, then get experience, then get gold. But more importantly, just survive. But Tiny is free farming. Will he go for the standard? Well, I mean, standard Tiny build is really up in the air these days. Some Tinies like to go straight up treads when there's not a Wisp on your team to fuel your attack speed. Some Tinies likes to go for the standard phase boots drum build that we saw popularized in the International 2. But really, it's up to Tulux, as the wave was pushed a decent amount, but is going to get pulled by mTw supports. Nicely done. So going to prevent mTw from getting a bit more experience, but mTw is going to hit level 2 very, very soon. No Sentry Wards are going to fuel the assault. Again, this game is going to be very slow until the minute 6 happens when Night Stalker can start ganking. But keep in mind, well, Night Stalker should have an advantage because Universe is not getting too much experience in the jungle, and Bounty Hunter is really being hard pressed to get any experience whatsoever. But you can see AOI is leading the last hit department, and now that these supports have done some pulling, you can see Bounty Hunter able to get a bit more experience. Meanwhile, Lorelog. Again, I don't know if it's just bad luck, but I feel like a jungling bat, or his jungling bat, unable to get as much farm as other jungling bats that I've seen. Because he doesn't need any of his tranquil boots just yet. We'll see if he just goes for boots and not pick up the tranquil boots whatsoever. As there was a gank, Universe did pick up a soon, and Night Stalker did end up dying. Pretty big victory for the side of Dignitas. Sorry I didn't spot that movement. Too busy focused on Batrider. Because Batrider is just such a sexy beast. As Warlock taking a bunch of damage and will just end up dying to the neutrals. But didn't really have too much gold. So 2-0 in favor of Dignitas, even though the neutral kill did count. As I guess Batrider wanted a free trip back to the fountain. Makes a little bit of sense, but didn't even finish buying his full Boots of Tranquility. If he was going to go for that. But Fogged really handling this lane. Already level 7, meanwhile Synderen barely level 5. So it's going to be pretty much impossible to gank Fogged, just controlling the runes with ease with that AoE Thunderclap, with the Drunken Haze, or Drunken Brawler avoiding a lot of potential harassment by Synderen, and with his innate strength growth, just really difficult to gank, and looks like he's going to pick up his Arcane Boots as well. So he's going to have so much mana to work with, always going to have enough mana for Thunderclap and the Primal Split. Meanwhile, there is going to be a gank. mTw is going to roam around, try to get the gank onto Fog, but Fog does have enough mana. And considering the levels on the side of mTw and Dutch Freak, I think Fog might even be able to turn around the gank and pick up a kill on mTw or Dutch Freak if they decide to go for it. But it's going to really rely on Synderen's silence. Does he even have a point of silence? He does. Can they pick up a kill? Disruption is going to cast it. Here comes the Ith Path and the Soul Catcher as the courier just finishes delivering an item. Fog's going to take a bunch of damage. Drunken Brawler trying to avoid as much damage as possible. Will end up dying to one last auto attack by Jakiro. Nice gank by Synderen, who did pick up Darkness at level 6 just to prolong the night a little bit longer. Interesting choice. Only 20 seconds to a 180 second cooldown. Still pretty useful, as you can see mTw trying to get the map control back on their side, de-warding it up, and really trying to prevent, or really trying to maximize Synderen's Night Stalker play to get those ganks to really start steamrolling out of control. And you can see Fogged a little bit more scared as he's going to teleport back in. No, Tides was there in the background to try to prevent the creep wave if the push was coming in. Are they going to initiate onto Synderen? Synderen just a little bit too fast, also has a regener in the bottle. And keep in mind that Primal Split animation does take a little bit of time to start up, so enough time to get Synderen at least a little bit of HP and mana back if he does pop that regen rune. But you can see Morphling actually severely out-farming Tulex at this point. Tulex did go for the minus, going to feel his experience. But Morphling is just having unimpeded free farm, and meanwhile Batrider is forced to switch to the bottom lane. Is going to have a very slow Blink Dagger, so really won't have too much relevance in this game, at least until maybe the 15-minute mark. As I feel like, I mean, I always lane with Batrider just because, you know, stacking Napalm, winning every lane is just so much fun. But I can understand if you have other heroes who are a bit more experience dependent, like the Night Stalker. Really just makes a lot of sense to have Batrider jungle, who can jungle pretty effectively. But this Batrider going to be very slow in terms of picking up experience, as there's going to be more de-warding by the side of mTw. Might be able to catch off Way2, who does reveal himself in the Sentry Ward. Napalm is going to be stacked. Soul Catcher is going to be used as well. Here comes Ice Path. Ice Path does end up whiffing, but they are going to kill Way2. And Pale going to catch 3 people in the midst of everything. Jakiro does pick up another last hit, as this Jakiro getting all the last hits in the world. Going to help fuel his Sentry Ward pickup. And meanwhile, Synderen finished up the Strength Treads. Gonna give him some more mana to play around with. Gonna give him some more HP to play around with. But really, just not ganking too aggressively, because it's pretty difficult to gank the supports. And considering the Dire are only de-warding this part of the map, and not really de-warding this part of the map, it's pretty difficult to gank the supports of Dignitas if they are around this region, or even in the mid lane region. As it looks like Dignitas will try to make something happen. There is a Sentry Ward on the side of the Dire, who could potentially spot an NA coming in, but NA only level 5. This might be a bit of trouble for 2x as the Sentry Ward will spot out Way 2 at the very least. But again, AUI is farming so fast, so fierce, and here comes the Sentry Ward going to be placed as I do not know. I think only Universe revealed himself. Shadow Poison going to be used to scout out any potential movements as Synderen is going to have some freeform right here, but I think AUI should be A-okay in terms of any engagements. I don't know if Synderen has the requisite damage to burst down AUI before he can get the morph going, before he can get the waveform going. And again, just very passive. I thought this game would be all about the ganks, but maybe I was trolled by the picks a little bit. But again, 2x just really 18 CS in a free farming lane. Just really not doing as good a job as AUI has been. And to be fair, 2x did have somebody's lane, Bounty Hunter, as Fogged is going to get stunned, plays going to get chain stunned as well, but does manage to get the primal split off at the very last second. Dutch Freak is going to take a bunch of damage. Will he end up dying? Does manage to escape, so at least the ultimate won't pick up any kills, but still Fogged able to escape with just a sliver of HP. Meanwhile, Universe trying to pick up that level 6 is very close to getting it. One more creep will secure him that level 6. And meanwhile, you can see Warlock unable to make anything happen in the bottom lane against AUI. AUI does clean up the tower. We'll see what he decides to go for. Linked Sphere is going to be the best choice in this game. I do approve. Not only because Morph mana cost is so huge, but also, again, against the Silence, against the Lasso, against the Disruption. Just going to be so very useful. But Dignitas, finally, their two ganking heroes do hit level 6, so we'll see if they decide to roam a bit more. Keep in mind, the supports on mTw have already used a lot of gold in terms of dewarding the map. You can see mTw very low level, only level 4, as you can check out an early game hero level comparison. You can see the Dire is pretty much under leveled compared to the Radiant. Experience graph is indicating a slight lead in terms of the Radiant's favor. Gold leads slightly in favor of the Radiant as well, but AUI has just been free farming, and there was a tower taken as well, even though there was a jungle Batrider. Meanwhile, a bit of pressure going to be applied. I do not know if mTw can actually push this successfully, because Tides of Time is level 6 with that level 3 Illuminate. And again, keep it light. So very annoying, as there's going to be initiation onto mTw. He's going to die in an instant. Did they even get the track kill? I think they did, just barely. No, they didn't. So that's a bit unfortunate for Way 2 and for Universe, but able to save the tower and pick up a kill, keeping mTw severely underleveled. I think if I were mTw, I'd just move to the bottom lane, try to soak up as much experience as possible, but still, if AUI does decide to initiate, he will be able to kill him very easily. And again, Synderen using this first night just to farm up. And not even farming that well. 47 CS. As again, it's difficult to gank with Night Stalker if you don't really know where everybody else is, especially against two invisible heroes when you don't have two dust, or when you don't have dust or sentry wards all around the map. As Darkness is going to be popped yet again, he's prolonged the Darkness for about 60 seconds. As 2x going to take a nuke right to the face. Is there a sal for 2x? Here comes Universe, gonna get the mana burn off as well. Illuminate gonna clean up the kill onto 2x. Nice wraparound gank by Dignitas as the wards expire at the worst time for mTw. Here comes Synderen, gonna teleport back in. Dutch Freak gonna block him off. Tides of Time is gonna just sacrifice his life for the good of his cause. Trying to suicide to neutrals, unfortunately is unable to do so, but still Synderen on the warpath, trying to catch off Universe. Universe does Vendetta to safety, but it will time out very, very soon. Does teleport out. Nicely done by Universe, killing off the primary carry. Meanwhile, AUI applying a lot of pressure to the bottom tower, maximizing all of his HP, or morphing a lot of his HP to agility so he can get more damage and more attack speed onto the tower. Nicely done by AUI, but here comes Synderen rotating in. Again, unable to make anything happen. As now you can see the Radiant with that tower kill, able to get the map control back into their side. This game is pretty much all about map control, as it's going to be teleported in by Fogged. Way 2 is going to get Janata hit. Will Fogged initiate? Going to get lassoed onto Way 2. Here comes the Avalanche Toss, going to kill off Way 2. Fogged is going to be a lot of trouble. Does get the primal split off, and Jakiro is definitely going to end up dying. Will Warlock end up dying as well? Going to get cycled into the air. Here comes the reinforcements by by Dignitas. Here comes a track kill for Universe. Universe is going to get tossed in the air, going to get avalanched as well. He ends up paying the price. Warlock going to get cycloned up into there as well. Here comes AUI going to teleport in, going to get one kill. Can he pick up a second? Luma going to fly and do a lot of damage to Warlock. Gonna pick up the kill onto Warlock. Meanwhile, Tulux in an awkward position. What is he doing? What are you doing, Tulux? As he is gonna escape. And now it's daytime. And again, such a long cooldown for that level 1 Night Stalker ultimate. 180-second cooldown. That he's gonna be pretty irrelevant for a good portion of this time. Can't really get any ganks going. And this is such a scary time for mTw at this point. Because there are 2 invisible heroes on the map. And the track gold is starting to get flowing. Or starting to flow. You know, Synderen is gonna die. The map control or the lack of map control on the side of mTw gonna lead to an easy track kill for Way2 and NA, and the Invisibros are back in business. They went out of business for a little bit, but they are back in full force. You know, Barrier does have the dagger, so that is something, and he does have the lasso up, is going to blink ahead, going to cast the lasso. AUI unable to get the morph off just yet, but is going to get the morph off right about now. Has the ultimate orb. It's going to be very difficult, but he might just end up dying. Does not have enough mana for the waveform unless he pops stick, which is on cooldown. AUI is going to end up dying. Nice gank, as Tulux did kill Way2 on the top lane, so mTw trying to regain a bit of their positioning, but still, I think they are a bit behind still. mTw is level 7 at least, does have a dust and some of his rewards. Meanwhile, Synderen likely going straight for that BKB. What goes through BKB? Nothing goes through BKB on the side of Dignitas. Denied. As the bottom tower was denied, so AUI probably kicking himself for staying a bit too long. Ends up losing a lot of gold with his death and with that tower deny. And he's going to be out of commission for the next 15 seconds. But fortunately for him, he did manage to pick up that Lincoln Sphere recipe. I mean, if he had enough gold, or if he lost that Lincoln Sphere recipe, I'm sure AUI would be very, very angry. This is going to be another gang onto Synderen Vendetta. Impale, track, thunderclap. Nice defensive disruption being popped by mTw. Can Synderen escape? He is going to die to the shuriken toss. Can they pick up some return kills? Macropyre, Ice Path going to be used. Macropyre was a little bit late, but they might very well kill Fog. They are going to kill Fog. Warlock going to fly back in. Can he get the lasso off? Not enough mana for that lasso. Teleport in with no mana. Didn't even have lasso up. So 1 for 1, but it was a track kill. And meanwhile, AUI going to push down the top tower. AUI in his own little world playing 1v1 Dota, or 1v0 Dota. AUI versus creeps and towers. Will he end up dying? Hasted Tiny gonna come in, avalanche toss. Is gonna morph out, can he teleport away? As Way2 is there to reinforce the gank. Dual Breath is gonna be used on AUI. AUI trying to pick up a kill, does have the waveform up relatively soon. Synderen's gonna teleport back in, as the Night Stalker ultimate was used in trying to escape, so it's going to be on cooldown as Tulux is going to come back in. The haste rune wears out at the worst time, does get the avalanche toss, it does kill AUI yet again, as Way2 trying to escape. Here comes a thunderclap, a blink dagger by Fog, will be able to kill off Tulux. Can Night Stalker escape? I think he might be very well taken up to escape for now, but the track will come in by the bounty hunter, who did actually die. Nice gank by, or nice kill by Tulux, and that is going to ensure that Synderen will at least survive this engagement. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, another bit of action. Warlock doing some Firefly damage, but mTw does end up paying the price because NA did manage to roam in. Warlock does get third stack of Napalm off. Really, the game has picked up immensely ever since the 2 invisible heroes have hit level 6. Meanwhile, Fog does kill the retreating Night Stalker. Why did Synderen stay around so long? I guess he was just slowed and drunk and hazed by a ridiculous amount. Fog with that blink dagger, I'll be able to outmaneuver the Night Stalker. So Synderen is going to become less and less effective. 0, 4, and 5. And I think a lot of that has to do with his inactivity at the first night. Again, you don't really want to let Brewmaster farm up, but Night Stalker, you get your gold from killing, not really by farming. But still, mTw are still very much in this. Unfortunately for them, Radiant have a significant gold lead and a relatively big experience grab. But they do have the Blink Dagger Barrett, who's starting to get his mojo rolling, and they do have Tiny, who can outcarry Morphling in the very, very late stages of the game. But Tulux is going to be so far away from the Aghanims. He's died 2 times, and he's going to die again, because track, Vendetta coming in. Barrett, can he get the dagger off? Unable to get the lasso in there. Here comes Fogged back onto the assault. Can they lasso Fogged? He does get the lasso off. Tulux will be able to escape for now. A massive giant fight breaks out. Way2 does end up dying. Toss comes in, killing off Fogged as a nice counter gank by mTw. Can they make a tower happen? Tides of Time is level 7 or level 9. Illuminates are going to fly and doing so much damage. And Synderen, again, not yet nighttime. As Warlock going to get a Flame Break, pushing back. Universe, nicely placed Flame Break. Going to get the Soul Catcher off as well. Silence going to go on to Universe. Warlock going to get killed by AUI, who does manage to go or teleport back in. So much action. Can mTw escape? mTw does escape, but it's going to cost Synderen his life. Actually, a beautiful Illuminate by Tides meant to secure the kill on mTw, as what looked like a beautiful counter gank meant that mTw ended up losing more than Dignitas in that engagement. And I think that mTw's over-aggressive nature might have cost them that engagement again. Really difficult to play super aggressive against Keeper of the Light, especially when it's just daytime when you're a Night Stalker.
Tower has fallen.
And AUI very well on his way to picking up a Dare Gem. And considering Agnum's Tiny is going to be a long ways off, Morphling will be able to farm so much faster than this Tiny can. But 2x is going to try his hardest. The problem is, again, Night Stalker in daytime, really not too scared, as mTw is going to get absolutely gangbanged by the Invisibros and the Panda. You know, Warlock trying to wrap around, does have level 2 of Elastic, so it's a bit of a short cooldown. Darkness is casted. Can they get the silence off on the Fog? They do manage to kill Fog. Tides is going to die as well. Meanwhile, Universe trying to come back in. Nice Magic Wand going to save the life of Dutch Freak. As AUI trying to pick up a kill. Can he escape? Liquid Sphere going to proc as the silence is going to be used on AUI, but he's so fast and pretty tanky they can't really kill him at this point, as he's morphing everything to strength. As Warlock, can he escape? Impale is going to clean up Warlock. Here comes Way2. Going to get one last hit. Can they kill off 2x? 2x is going to die again. And mTw are losing these engagements, as this is really not looking too good. Way2, can he even escape? Centaur is going to use. Way2 is going to fall. But again, Tiny died. AUI survives. Able to pick up some kills. But the Rain Courier did die. You know, Necrobook being picked up by Universe. Level 1 at this point. Still a long ways away, but Morphling gonna have that Eagle Song up. Keep in mind, you can't cast that E-Blade when you're waveforming ahead. And the mana cost on the E-Blade is actually pretty significant now. I think it's like 150. But he does have Linked Sphere, and he does have the Keeper of the Light to constantly fuel that. And I feel like this Keeper of the Light is just giving mTw so much trouble, as he's constantly able to keep the waves pushed. And he's always has enough money to get wards to allow the Visibros to really get their mojo rolling. As Dutch Freak trying to score him back and forth, juking out Universe, as Dutch Freak is going to try to get the stack going, but he's going to get ganked. As here comes the track going to come in, as the Centaur Stun does manage to prolong the life of Dutch Freak, but unfortunately the Spiked Carapace is not enough, is enough to slow any assault by Tiny. As here comes Barrett, does manage to get Tides of Time into his clutches. Primal Split is going to be casted, as can Dignitas turn the skank around. Barrett does pick off the Batter. Meanwhile, Tiny does manage to kill Keeper of the Light, but Tiny is going to get surrounded on all sides, and he is not going to have a good time, as just the immense pressure of Dignitas able to pick up so many kills. Fog's going to blink back in after his ultimate runs out, and Morphling does pick up another kill. Barrett buys back, but what can he do? He can try to save the life of Synderen. AY is going to get... I think the lasso was used, and the Linked Sphere was debuffed. Yes, no, that was not a lasso. That was probably just silence or something like that. As Synderen's going to have to escape. Firefly is going to be casted. Darkness is going to be casted yet again. Meanwhile, Jakiro does manage to respawn. Can they turn this gank back around? Everybody on the side of Dignitas is so tank, whether it be Morphling, whether it be Panda. And Way2 with that track, constantly able to speed up the assault. Synderen is going to get counter ganked, as here comes the waveform in, but a nice Ice Path going to slow down the death of Synderen. Going to pick off Fog to the very least. Can Synderen escape? Can Synderen escape? No, sure. Kentas going to clean him up. Meanwhile, Way2 trying to escape. Is there a Sentry Ward to spot him out? Ice Path going to be casted. Dust going to be casted. Dutch Freak is trying to man up, but unfortunately, Dutch Freak is going to get surrounded by all sides. The Shadow Poison not going to be enough, as Tiny not in the picture because there was no teleport to teleport into. And amidst all that chaos, AUI able to pick up so much experience. Going to be level 17 when all is said and done, and going to have access into the E-Blade. I think mTw are starting to crumble under the assault of Dignitas, as they are not relieving the pressure. Wave 2 with this bounty hunter able to pick up so many kills, so many track gold. Has 3.7k gold in the bank with only 24 CS. And this is the power of bounty hunter when he starts to get rolling. Able to secure so much gold for his team. 14k gold advantage on the side of Dignitas. Holy smokes. The supports on Dignitas. Mechanism and Cubulite building his way towards the Hex. Universe is going to have level 2 Necrobook up. And going to have level 3 Necrobook up in about 700 gold. Fogged. Blink Dagger Arcanes. Fogged is... he's been the brunt of a lot of mTw's focus. But meanwhile, Morphling able to survive so these engagements. Even when his farm has slowed down, the track kills able to fuel his E-Blade and his Lincoln Sphere. And now it's looking very grim for mTw. mTw, their best option is just to turtle up. But so difficult to turtle against the Invisibros. As 12k experience advantage for Dignitas at this point. And again, this Night Stalker not really having that big of an impact. Pretty close to his BKB. But unfortunately, I don't know honestly what that will do. Well, it will be able to prevent him from getting one-shot by the Morphling, prevent the Panda's crowd control for a long bit. As well disconnects, so I think it's time to fast-forward the game up a little bit. But 2x has just been pressured down so hard, as he has 6 and 4 with 100 CS, but still very far away from finishing his Aghanims. Actually, gonna have his Aghanims in about 900 gold. If he can finish that up and start to get his farm rolling, then mTw does still have a shot, but the problem is the pressure by Dignitas. The fact that they can take so many frequent ganks, even though Fogged does have a very long cooldown on his ultimate, just the relentless pressure, whether it be from Bounty Hunter, whether it be from NA, just able to constantly keep 2x back. But still, mTw do have a shot. Again, I do think in the ultra late game, Shiny does outcarry the Morphling. And Barrett is playing pretty well. Unfortunately, he's died a lot more recently, so unable to pick up that Force Staff anytime soon. And again, the Dire supports spending so much gold on Sentry Wards and Observer Wards, and meanwhile Necro 3 will be picked up, so that's going to allow Tides of Time to really not have to buy nearly as many Sentry Wards as he's buying, and that's going to be able to fuel his Hex very, very soon. Well, not very, very soon, but soon enough. As Go is called by everybody. But again, Jakiro still pretty close to his mechanism. That might help mTw, but keep in mind, Dignitas just have a lot of damage to go on, and now Morphling has the E-Blade, so he can start one-shotting these supports. And again, look at just the range at where mTw can stay roamed in, as the lasso is going to be applied to Universe. Way 2 is just going to run away. Just going to apply a bit of track. So on the off chance that Universe does escape, a nice placed Sentry Ward, and that's going to help out the supports of mTw a bit, so they can buy some tanky items and hopefully just keep up the wards. But again, Night Stalker's second night is going to end very, very soon, and Night Stalker's effectiveness is only going to drop as this game goes on. But still, they're doing their job. They're going to fuel 2x's Aghanims up very, very soon. Meanwhile, AUI just split pushing it up. I imagine he's going to go for something like a Butterfly or for a Manta. Or it's AUI, he might even go for something crazy like, I don't know, for whatever reason, MKB, even though it gives you like no stats. But he's going to waveform that, as the Replicate is going to time out very, very soon. Trying to find a squishy support to one-shot, but nice counter-warding by the Dire, so AUI really not able to spot out any supports trying to escape. As the Replicate does time out, but he can just walk away. And that is going to give Dignitas a lot of Roshan control, even though the Dire, or mTw, are on the Dire side. a lot of the wards are placed in the jungle so that they don't get ganked, so that their Tiny can free farm it up in the top lane. Unfortunately, it means that the bottom lane and the Roshan area is very easy to access for Dignitas. So Dignitas is going to clear this Roshan with relative ease. Morphling is going to have Aegis, so now he can play even more aggressively. Was storing with around 1k HP, now he's back down to 900 HP, so he can more easily one-shot the supports on the Dire, has only one strength morph at this point. But Tiny does have his Aghanims, so he's going to be able to start his farm going, but the question is, will Dignitas allow Tiny to keep farming? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't think so. As Tides doesn't really need to get the Hex, he's Keeper of the Light. So he's probably able to push in very, very soon, as there is an Observer Ward by the Radiant there. Very interesting Observer Ward placement. Maybe it's just placed to clear up some room. Not too sure why he would place that Observer Ward. Honestly, I don't see what that Observer Ward sees. There might not be a bit of action. Let me just see. Fog, Radiant. Well, the creeps are pushing in. So yeah, actually that Observer Ward doesn't actually see much of anything. So, next level Observer Ward placement by Tides. Maybe it was just a misclick. As I'll switch back the Fog to both teams. Meanwhile, you can see how scared, even though it's darkness, even though it's a second night, everybody on mTw are just so scared right now. From the Morphling, you can one-shot them. From the Invisibros coming in, maybe I should just stop calling them Invisibros. From the NA and the Bounty Hunter coming in, able to kill them super easily. But mTw try to make something happen, but the Observer Ward by the Radiant going to spot out the movement, so the Batrider Blink attempt is going to be thwarted for now. But at least I don't think mTw uses smoke.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Meanwhile, AOI morphing back a bit into strength. And here comes the Universe in Wave 2. But there is a Sentry Ward on the high ground, spotting out at least Wave 2. Are they going to initiate on him? Yes, they are. They're going to use a lasso. And they are going to kill Wave 2, but Fog's going to blink in, going to pop the Primal Sway, and Wave 2 actually has a fish. BKB going to suck or spin Tiny up into the air for a long while. Synderen going to try to go to town, killing off Tides with his own BKB. Will be able to clean up Tides at the very least, so the first kill goes in favor of mTw, but unfortunately they do lose the Tiny. Tiny does manage to kill off Wave 2 at the very least. Warlock trying to escape, but AUI is still, with that Aegis, still managed to pop that E-Blade, managed to kill off Jakiro, and AUI able to pop up his E-Blade very, very soon. AUI picks up another kill, is dominating at this point, 3.3k gold in the bank, as 4 heroes do end up dying for the side of mTw. Meanwhile, Dignitas only lose their Bounty Hunter and their Keeper of the Light. And this may mean a Rax, maybe. I guess Dignitas don't really want to push in without the Pan Ultimate, but I think now is a good time. 4 heroes are dead. They can at least do significant damage. No, looks like they're just going to do some split pushing. I think they could probably taken down the tier 3 tower in the top lane. And they're going to play greedy and try to pick up both towers. As actually, that is going to be what they're going to do, because AOI has a replicate in the middle lane that they can just immediately replicate too. And they are going to claim the tier 3 tower on the top lane, as Universe does get that last hit. As is he going to morph to the replicate, trying to clear off the top barracks. And he's going to do so pretty successfully. He's going to actually morph the replicate to try to clean up this middle tier tower. No, the replicate is sent back. And they did significant damage to the barracks, is going to actually morph back to his replicate. And now it's daytime. Synderen is does have that level 2 darkness at the very least, so he has 50 seconds. But way too. Oh man, NA and Bounty Hunter just staying so dangerous close to the Tiny. And it's always a miserable situation when you have to sentry ward your own base. And Dignitas playing super close. Warlock does manage to blink in, but gonna get E-bladed in place. Fogged is gonna survive for now. He does not yet have access to the Primal Sight. Warlock is going to get Shuriken toss. Meanwhile, Universe trying to escape. Matrim is going to be the primary target. No, he's going to back off. Where's Tiny? Where's Tiny? Tiny is in the midst of everything. Morphling still has the Aegis up. For how long? only about 1 more minute, so Morphling might want to go balls deep in very, very soon. Has that Manta style being shipped towards him. I think once he gets that, he will go in balls deep, but they bait out the darkness by Synderen.
Dire's middle tower is under
So they might just wait out the darkness. And Fogged does have the Aghanim Scepter, so now he has access to that 26-second duration ultimate. I do not know, honestly, what mTw can do to counter that. But AUI just gonna farm up, so his Aegis will end up expiring. So gonna give mTw a bit more life. Keep in mind, Tiny has not died in a bit, at the very least. He died in the last huge team fight. But still able to pick up his gold with that minus and with his immense farming capabilities. As the Dire gonna bait out Tiny, saying, "Come kill Tiny, guys. We are totally not smoked up."
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
But meanwhile, AOI just contentedly split pushing up. This is the power of Morphling. He's still very powerful once it gets to the late game, as the lasso is gonna be casted on that Manta style illusion. You got it. You got that Manta style illusion. So now they have no darkness, they have no lasso, and they're facing up against a 26-second Panda ultimate. At least AUI just is going to time out soon, and he doesn't have too much mana. Way2 is going to get Ice Pathed in the ground. E-Blade or Adaptive Strike being casted onto Warlock. Can they pick up a kill? Way2 is going to just teleport out to safety. Primal Split is going to be casted. Keeper of the Light is going to start to recall Way2, as Tulux is going to be the primary target. Tulux does die. Warlock dies as well. Tiny buys back, but I'm honestly not too sure what he can do once mTw and the rest die. Synderen is being held back at the base because he has no ultimate, and it is daytime. Actually, Way2 was not recalled by the Keeper of the Light.
Dire's middle
Tides of Time saying you can just walk back. And EUI gonna try to clean up this middle barracks, gonna waveform Adaptive Strike, E-Blade, shotgun down that Jakiro. And I think this is gonna be the end for mTw in this game, as they're gonna lose the second Rex very, very soon.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
Morphling picks up another kill. Now Tiny is going to be under a huge amount of pressure. He's going to die as well. AUI picks up a monster kill, and this is all but over. GG's are probably going to be called very, very shortly. Warlock is going to die. AUI 5.1k gold in the bank to play around with. GG, well played call by Synderen. As Dignitas advances 6-0. Meanwhile, mTw fall to 2-2, so it's looking very grim for them to get into the winner's bracket of the Defense 3. But they are still in the 4th place at very least, so at least they still have the chance to move on, but they still have at least 2 more matches to play, so they still have to play very, very solid. Meanwhile, Dignitas pretty much clinched themselves and place into the winner's bracket with this victory. So Dignitas looking super strong,
Dire's bottom barracks
winning most of their matches and bringing back Morphling in a huge way. So Dignitas is going to take this game after a very, very exciting mid-game, ending it up with 60 kills after a relatively tame early game. And I think if I had to fault mTw on one thing, is that I think they do the abandon the offlane strategy a little bit too much, because especially against visible heroes, your supports are just going to be so underleveled that they really can't afford HP items and all the observer wards and sentry wards that they really need to do to control the game. And unfortunately, Synderen didn't really not have a very successful first night. So that ended up costing mTw, because once rain started rolling, it never really let up. As you can see, ended up with a 30k gold advantage at the end of the game, 25 experience advantage. Really too much to overcome. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back very, very soon with the next cast. But thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.